Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, thank you for your great work. To the issue of your budgeting, I think we get enormous bang for the buck for what you do, and I really commend you, and you're the right person doing the right job. As it relates to the MOU and to Qatar, I think our interest is really an oversight. As Ronald Reagan would say, trust but verify. How will we be able to assure that we've been able to cut off support, for example, to government-sponsored or government-affiliated, government-sanctioned support for, let's say, Hamas and other terrorist groups in the region?
Let me just start by saying thank you for the compliment, but really I have an army of people in back of me who are doing tremendous work around the clock in TFI. So
we're led well.
Yes, well, thank you. So in terms of Qatar, which I know is a specific area of concern for you, we have been working in my short time in TFI, but really historically with Qatar on this terrorist financing problem, just as we've worked with all countries in that region. It's been a big area of focus for us. And so I know you mentioned of the MOU. We have a number of lines of efforts under the MOU. I
think I'd be interested to know kind of the benchmarks that we have there, the metrics, what the timetable would be in terms of their performance, and if they're doing what we've asked them to do. How will Congress know that?
So I'd be happy to come in and give you a briefing on our efforts with respect to Qatar. What I can tell you is that this has to be a long-term relationship. So we've gotten a lot of, I think we've made some progress with Qatar. Secretary Mnuchin mentioned it recently. We're working on a number of lines of effort with them, and we're seeing a lot of willingness on their part to work closely in connection with us on terrorist financing in various different ways. But this has to be a concerted and long-term effort, as it does with every country, frankly, in the region.
Yes, ma'am. I'd had the ambassador in this morning, which we have already met several times, and I think he understands the issues and our concerns. We had a very amenable discussion. I think we want to find out, what are the repercussions if Qatar continues to support Hamas, or if they don't enforce their laws, they're in country, they don't prosecute. We'd like to see what's our response going to be to enforce this to occur.
Again, we have a productive relationship right now with the Qataris, where we're working with them on a number of different lines of effort, including capacity building, which we do with other countries in the region, and in information sharing. And of course, we were pleased that they joined us in the designations of a couple of weeks ago against ISIS and AQAP. But it's something that we have to continue to monitor very, very closely and carefully. We actually have an attaché in Qatar who works closely with our counterparts, and I personally do so as well.
Thank you. Last month, the Treasury Department took action to sanction Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard as a supporter of terrorism. Do you intend to take additional actions to designate individual IRGC-owned companies or front entities or individuals affiliated with the Guard?
Well, since the beginning of this administration, we have targeted over 70 entities and individuals connected to the IRGC's support for terrorism, their ballistic missile program, their human rights violations, among other areas. As you know, this is a very high area of concern for us, and as you recognize, we just designated the IRGC under our Executive Order 13224. So while I can't tell you what additional actions we're going to take in the coming months, rest assured that the Treasury Department is very focused on implementing the President's strategy to target the malign behavior that Iran has been engaging in.
And very quickly, Mr. Chairman, I do have some additional questions, if I could submit them to the record for the Madam Secretary to respond to. Just quickly, are there additional steps that you would recommend that the U.S. take to target IRGC's role in the Iranian economy?
Well, we are taking a number of steps to target the IRGC. We've also been very vocal in terms of the strategies that we are going to be employing, and again, you will certainly be hearing more from us on that front.
My time's expired.